welcome to Mr. Otter Studio. Today I'm going to be answering the question that I am asked most in all of my tutorials. The most common question I am asked is, what paper are you using? I use different papers for different tutorials, but every time this question is asked, it's in a watercolor tutorial. I just thought I would introduce to you some different types of paper that can be used for watercolors and the most common kind that I use. I'm not sure what paper you have access to, which is why I'm going to include simple printer paper. The most common paper that I use in my watercolor tutorials is this Canson XL series watercolor paper. The reason I like this Canson XL paper is because it's an excellent paper for the price. So thank you, Canson. This is not sponsored by Canson. I'm going to show you a bunch of different papers that can be used for watercolor, from the most expensive papers, like this one, to the very cheapest papers, which would be paper out of your sketchbook or printer paper. This is the cheapest paper that I've been able to find. So what I'm going to do is show you the price for each of these, and I'm going to do a few techniques on each paper. I'm going to show you what a wash looks like on each of them, a glaze, and wet, and maybe a little detailed drawing just so you can see how it looks different on each paper. Below in the comments, please write what paper you like to use in your watercolor paintings. I would love to hear from you. These are just a few papers. There are so many you can use. You can make your own paper. You don't have to go out and buy these expensive papers. This is our Canson sketch paper. It's 65 pounds. It's 100 sheets of paper for about $10, so this is a great price of paper. However, 65 pounds is not that much weight. This paper is 300 pounds. It's really thick. Your printer paper is 20 pounds. Really light, really thin. So hopefully we'll be able to see the difference as we do these tests. This is a side comparison of all of the papers next to each other. This is 20-pound copy paper. This is going to be your cheapest paper you can find. It's kind of hard to do wet washes on it. This is Canson sketch paper, 65-pound paper. This is going to be the next cheapest option. This is Canson XL series watercolor paper. It's 140 pounds and it ends up being 30 cents a sheet. This is Fabriano 140-pound watercolor paper, and this is hot press paper. It takes a lot longer to dry than the other papers, but you can see that allows these really cool effects to happen. This paper ends up being 92 cents a sheet. These are the last 4 papers that I tested. This is Bristol paper. This has a textured vellum surface, and this is also the Canson XL series. This is 100-pound paper. This ends up being about 40 cents a sheet. I really like this for marker and pen and ink. It's not bad for watercolors. I like these effects that it has in this wet wash. Side by side, we have the Strathmore 300 series and the Strathmore 400 series watercolor paper. They're both 140 pounds. This one is a better quality and this one is a best quality. The difference in price between these two is the 300 series is 71 cents and the 400 series is 96 cents. And the Moulin de Roy paper comes in a sheet that's 22 by 30 inches. So if you cut it down into the size of these different papers, it would end up being about $2 a sheet. A little bit more expensive, but look how thick it is. I mean, look compared to even just the Strathmore series. You can see it's quite a bit thicker, which allows you to add more water on it without it bending or folding. I hope you learned a little bit in this tutorial what kind of paper you can use, what kind of paper is available. Remember, you do not have to go out and buy expensive supplies when you decide you want to start using watercolors. Normal printer paper is great, sketch paper will work. You can just see that there is a difference. For sure, especially in the washes. I mean, look how hard it is to get the colors to bleed in the copy paper and in my sketch paper compared to these ones. If you do want to invest in watercolor paper, I think this is a good range, especially for beginners. Have a wonderful day. We will see you around on YouTube.